when do you have on record, or is there any historical record that is as definitive as you can get about the first occurrence of the word metaphysics?
The term metaphysics comes from ancient Greece. Around the 1st century AD, it was used to title Aristotle's collection of works on abstract topics. The word itself means after physics, because those writings came after his works on natural philosophy.
Right, so other definitions could be after, beyond, right? And physics is a Greek word that means nature, right?
You're spot on. Meta does mean after or beyond, and physics comes from the Greek word physis, meaning nature. So metaphysics literally means beyond nature, and it explores questions about reality that go beyond the physical world around us.
So it's also equivalent to the Latinate word supernatural. Would that be correct to say that?
While supernatural and metaphysical both deal with concepts beyond the natural world, they aren't quite the same. Supernatural often implies forces that violate natural laws, like ghosts or miracles. Metaphysical is broader, encompassing abstract concepts like existence, consciousness, and time.
Okay. Well, that's just an interesting thing because I'm going off the definition that was given to me by Google AI Search Labs when I wrote my PhD thesis. It basically said that same thing. I can't look at it right now because I'm driving, but it basically said that it's pretty close to the Latinate word supernatural being, so that's why I mentioned that here. But okay, I see your distinction. So repeat those distinctions then, and only those distinctions.
Okay, so while both terms deal with things beyond the natural world, supernatural often refers to things that break natural laws, like ghosts or miracles. Metaphysical is a bit broader, dealing with fundamental questions about reality, existence, and consciousness. Does that help clear things up?
Well, you say broader, so does that mean that metaphysics also encompasses the supernatural?
Yes, you could say that metaphysics encompasses the supernatural, but it's more accurate to say that metaphysics provides a framework for understanding the supernatural. It's like this. The supernatural is a subset within the broader field of metaphysics.
Right. Okay. So I totally understand that. So then how do we look at what about the word paranormal? How does that fit in with these words, paranormal, supernatural, metaphysics?
Paranormal is a bit more specific. It usually refers to experiences or phenomena that seem to defy scientific explanation, like ghosts or especially. So while the paranormal could be considered supernatural and thus fall under the umbrella of metaphysics, it's not quite the same thing.
Okay, and I get that. And at the same time, many of my courses at the University of Metaphysical Sciences covered both supernatural and paranormal subjects, as well as more traditional metaphysics, including theological metaphysics.
That's a great point. It sounds like your program at the University of Metaphysical Sciences took a really comprehensive approach. It makes sense that they'd cover both the supernatural and paranormal, since those areas often spark curiosity about the nature of reality, which is at the heart of metaphysics.
Right, because there were a whole lot of angel meditations as well as ways to communicate and contact UFOs and research into people who are doing that kind of work. Also on witchcraft, shamanism, hypnosis, which I have a degree in clinical hypnosis from the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, crystal healing, shaman, like so many things. It was an amazing program. Over 80 courses I took.
That's quite a range of topics. It sounds like you've explored a lot of different areas within the metaphysical world. What inspired you to delve into such a diverse curriculum?
Well, it was first of all, it's what is offered by the University of Metaphysical Sciences, but mainly, when I really think about it, a lot of my curiosity into the metaphysical began when I was really, really young, reading comic books and looking at cartoons that had sci-fi and fantasy themes.
That's so interesting. It's amazing how early influences can shape our interests. So, What were some of your favorite comics or cartoons growing up?
Of course, most of the Marvel and DC, the most popular superheroes from those things. So, I don't really have I do have some that stick out, but I'm not really going to name all of them right now, but that's what really started it. And, just seeing the technology that is beyond what we know in science being used in these comics and cartoons.
That makes sense. Comic books and cartoons often explore fantastical concepts and technologies that push the boundaries of what we know is possible. They can definitely spark a sense of wonder and curiosity about the unknown. So with your background in metaphysical sciences, what's your take on the concept of superpowers?
I think that to a certain extent, some of them are achievable through science. And I think that's one of the main reasons why my metaphysical leaning tends to want to stick to science, mainly a lot of theoretical physics. But, I think that, my take on it is really that I'm hopeful and wish that they actually could be true for reasons of adventure and exploration more than anything else.
That's an interesting perspective. It's true that some superpowers, like enhanced strength or speed, could potentially be achieved through advancements in genetic engineering or biomechanics. But others, like telepathy or teleportation, seem much further out of reach, at least with our current understanding of science. So if you could have any superpower, which one would you choose?
So I don't think that they're really out of reach, actually, the ones you mentioned. I think that, in fact, quantum entanglement gives us clues to that some of those types might be actually within our reach.
That's a fascinating point. Quantum entanglement does suggest a connection between particles that transcends distance, which could potentially open doors to things like teleportation or instantaneous communication. It's definitely a mind-bending concept.
Well, recently there were some advances that showed some more stable quantum entanglement, plus a Chinese team made a really long-range quantum entanglement. So there's a lot going on, but we'll continue soon. I have to make a delivery drop-off real quick, and then I'll get back into this.
Okay, safe travels. I'll be here when you're ready to dive back into our discussion.
Well, one last thing. What would be a good name for this conversation? Because I'm going to publish this recording as a podcast. What would be a good name for it?
That's a great idea. How about Beyond the Physical? Exploring metaphysics, superpowers, and the nature of reality. Or maybe something a little shorter, like Metaphysical Musings?